A problem almost everyone has had is forgetting a password and forgetting an account that you need to get back into for something. That's just part of the internet, part of computers and what we deal with. And when you're working with macOS, a very common account that you'll run into is your Apple ID account. And this can be something that's tricky for many because this Apple ID, it's one account, but it accesses all different types of services. And as you know, this channel is dedicated to Final Cut Pro, but we try to talk about all kinds of other things. And in order to get Final Cut Pro 10, you have to purchase it through the App Store. And so one of the major areas that an Apple ID is used is for signing up for an account that you can then use to purchase content, whether it be from iTunes or like getting Final Cut through the App Store. So your Apple ID and that account, it's really important to know what that is and also which account you're using when you go to make purchases, especially a $300 app right now like Final Cut. That's a huge purchase, and if you don't know the account that you're making the purchase under, or you know it at one point but then forget about it because you bought it in 2011 and maybe you don't have access to that account anymore, that can be a problem. So the first tip here I want to show you is just appleid.apple.com. It's this website that allows you to go and sign into your account where you can verify all of your information. So I'm not going to do that here because I don't want to give out personal information, but you should go to this website. Just go appleid.apple.com. You'll get to this page and you can sign in using your Apple ID. Just type that in. In most cases, it's going to be an email address. In some cases, it'll be just the first part, just a username, but most of them are now email addresses. Once you go to hit sign in, you'll go through the steps. It'll ask you for your password. You'll be able to get into it. If you're unable to get into the account, there is a button here that says forgot Apple ID or password, and you can click that and follow the steps to try and recover either your Apple ID or recover a password. In some cases, you won't be able to get it through these tools, and you'll still be locked out of the account. If that happens, I would recommend contacting AppleCare. And you can do that by going up to the support tab. And usually when you go through these steps, if you get to that point, there'll be a link to get into it. You can also call AppleCare, depending on where your location is. And that's something I would recommend doing. It can take time. Apple IDs can get locked, sometimes for a couple hours, sometimes for a couple days. And a lot of times if you do call for Apple support, they'll want to verify different pieces of information for your account. And this may be personal information for yourself. It may be credit card information, billing information. So there's a lot that's attached to your account that they can use to try and recover the account and get back into it. So don't worry, if you are unable to get in by going through the forgot password part, I would strongly recommend going out and contacting Apple. Now, with that being said, you want to be careful because there's a lot of places that are trying to phish your information and get personal information from you. So just make sure you're going to the right resources when contacting Apple using the right phone numbers. You can always go into an Apple store and ask them and make sure that you're going to the right places. But in almost any cases, if you're going to like an Apple authorized reseller or support center or an Apple store, they won't have the tools in those locations to help you with your account, but they'll be able to verify that you're contacting AppleCare and the right numbers to get those accounts reset. So that's kind of a summary around the Apple ID and some things about going into it. Please use this website to go and verify your information on there. Even if you know everything's working fine, just go on there, verify the right addresses there, the right birth dates, because that information can be very helpful in the future if you get locked out of the account. I also want to give a little bit of an overview here of some of the things this Apple ID does, because this website lays it all out right here. These are a few of the services that your Apple ID account is linked to. The first one, the major one, is iCloud. We looked at iCloud a little bit in some of the other videos, but if you go into System Preferences, you can go here and click on the iCloud System Preference pane, and you'll be able to sign into that account. This then allows you to sync all different types of data between your computer and iCloud. And then things like contacts, notes, all the things we looked at previous videos can then sync between all of your devices. So if you have an iPhone, an iPad, or multiple Macs, iCloud is a great service to use. So I'd strongly recommend you looking into that. For purchases, whether it be apps, media like music and movies, Your iBook store is there for Apple Books. You can get all of that content using your Apple ID. And then if you're communicating with others, whether it be through iMessage or FaceTime, your Apple ID is also used for that. So a lot of different apps and reasons for using that. If you do go and start getting into sales, say you're sharing and publishing your movies through iTunes, a lot of times an Apple ID is also going to be used for that. So it's a very powerful account. And the biggest tip I want to leave you with is just going to this website, appleid.apple.com, sign into it, and then verify all of your information is accurate on that page, because that's going to be huge for you going forward if you have any issues with that account. So that's just the overview and kind of the tip for today. If there's something specific about the Apple ID that I didn't cover here, you want to know more about, just put it in the comments below or send me an email, finalcutprohelp@me.com, and I'd be happy to answer those for you.